All right, welcome to another video from the chart readers. I messed up my leg over the weekend and I was in so much pain. You would have definitely heard it in my voice. So sorry I have not made any videos in the last few days. Still in a little bit of pain, but I don't think you'll hear it on today's recording. So today we are going to do the banking and lending. It's been a while since I've done this, so I don't actually know exactly when the last time it was, but we'll do what we always do, right? Just one quick comment. We are in live trading hours. I'm making this a little bit earlier than normal, so you will see percentages move, candles go up and down. It's a little early, so ideally nothing crazy happens in the next 3 hours, but again, just trying to make some new videos. I haven't done it in a while. So what are we going to do today? Same thing we always do, right? We're going to look at the daily and the weekly to see what's setting up. We have our 5 moving averages and then these horizontal support and resistance lines that I do manually draw. When we're done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicator. So like I said, it's been a while since I've made this. I don't know exactly when it was, but real quick, look, you can see we had a horizontal cluster going and then boom, it drops out. Usually it's a lot more devastating a drop, but it does seem like SOFI's at least trying to horizontal out again. Let me zoom back out to see. Yeah, there was definitely a decent drop, horizontal, small drop, and horizontal, right? So look, we're at a place where the 20 and the 8 are close enough to where a good bit of volume, and you can see we've had one decent day of volume right here, but a good day of volume could really help us go up, right? Honestly, I probably wouldn't touch this thing until we honestly got over 5, I think, because even if we broke this right here, there's a lot of resistance at least to this 484 line. Then you got the 50 right here, right? I personally would love to wait for the 50 to break and then pretty much trade, hopefully all the way up to the 100, right? That's a lot more than 10% because 550 is right there, right? So the safer play would be this channel here. Hey, if your risk tolerance is whatever it is, if it closes over the 20 today, little confirmation tomorrow, hey, it might be worth getting in. But look, we've battled this 20 a couple times, and if it could get over, it could mean something. But again, just different risk tolerances for different people, right? Looking at the weekly, definitely not a good weekly, right? So again, you want a good weekly so that you can have some good dailies. And again, I think this goes back to where I'd say I'd wait till 5, right? If you can get to 5, you'll be over the 8 on the weekly. And like I said, on the daily, you'll have a little bit cleaner of a channel to play. So SOFI overall, I'm glad that this drop wasn't devastating. We've seen really bad drops out of clusters. This horizontal, though, really doesn't mean anything until it actually goes up, right? All it could really be doing is prolonging the horizontal before it goes down, right? So I would actually wait on SOFI personally. Bank of America, BAC. So again, this one was doing really well for a minute. I remember calling that out. And again, we see the same things, right? We're working our way up, we go horizontal, we work our way down. We're now kind of coming into this horizontal again, right? So again, all of these things should become fairly repetitive, which I'm telling you is a really good thing because that means you're learning it, it's getting sucked in the head, and hopefully you're using it on tickers that I'm not following, right? Because again, anything I do here applies to everything. Really quickly, I hope you see it before I even call it out, right? You've got 4 out of the 5 moving averages basically in this $35 range, right? So look, safest thing to do, just wait for the 200 to break. I really would not touch this thing until 35.40. At 35.40, we'll be over all the lines and it'll be great. Now, one can argue that, hey, if you can break, let's call it 32.80. If you could break 32.80, this is a decent fill right here because again, big red candle, little insignificant doji, big red, right? So someone could make the argument of playing this $33 roughly number, right? 32.80, and then trying to fill that. However, I'm not a big fan of this. Moving averages are very easily the resistances, right? When you have just such a big cluster, honestly, I would just wait for right there, and hopefully you're trading up in blue skies, right? But a couple different ways to play Bank of America, really depending on what your risk tolerance is. I for sure would not start anything until we get over this. That one where it's literally the same number I've shown every time, right? So 32.80. I would for sure not touch it. But again, really, this 35.40 number would be the safest play. Real quick, looking at volume, let's just talk about volume. There's only been 4 days of buying over the last, what looks like a lot of days, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. No one's really been buying Bank of America the last couple of weeks. So, a little bit of reason to believe it's not going to be the best, right? So, yeah, overall, I really wouldn't touch this, especially with this big ass cluster right there. Sorry to curse. I do my best to not curse. Look, beautiful weekly when it was going up, horrible weekly as it's been coming down. A lot of it was that rejection on the 50 and then just losing all the moving averages at once, right? Like I said, I would wait for a better weekly chart before I jumped into this. So yeah, Bank of America and SoFi, really neither is a win in my book just yet. Wells Fargo. So there was some news, and I'm actually really surprised the stock didn't do that bad. So I saw something that they had to pay a little bit more than $1 billion settlement or something. Let's be honest, $1 billion is a lot of money for someone like me, someone like you watching this video, right? For Wells Fargo, $1 billion is probably what they're giving their executives in bonus money every year, right? So I don't think it was a exponentially large company to shake up the stock, and really we see that with just less than 2% drop, right? So there was definitely some news about some $1 billion fine or something, but again, just keep it in mind. The billion's a lot of money for me. Millions and 100,000s are a lot of money for me. Billion for Wells Fargo is literally a drop in the bucket. Their executives, I'm telling you, they spend that on dinners over the last couple of years. You know what I mean? So just remember, when you see news, try to be a little more pessimistic. I don't know what the word is, right? But just not all news is wildly good or wildly bad, right? So try to interpret it in different ways before you make your moves. All news aside, look, this looks exactly like Bank of America, right? This thing was climbing, it went horizontal, and then it came down. I'm just going to go real quick back to Bank of America. Same pretty much chart, went up, went horizontal, went down, right? So these two are very much moving together. And that's a good thing, right? It just so happens that they're kind of moving down right now, which is not great. But yeah, I think looking at Wells Fargo has me a little more pessimistic with Bank of America as well, because really Wells Fargo does not look good at all. Bank of America had a little bit of good, but I think the fact that they look so similar, I would kind of lean towards Wells Fargo. Again, look, I would pretty much get in after 45.22, right? That'll get you over our moving averages. That'll get us over every single one. And hey, it should be a lot smoother. Again, same comment with Bank of America. If you want to play 429 and try to ride up all this all this red right here, hey, that's, different strategies for different people, right? For me, I would rather just go up here and play it safe. But yeah, there's definitely a mini gap fill right there, right? It's not a hard drop of a gap, but a bunch of reds in a row is a gap for me, right? So couple different ways to play, and really exact same thing we said with Bank of America. Again, not a good weekly, and I like a good weekly before I start throwing in some monies on my dailies, right? So just not a great weekly on this, and I personally would wait for a better weekly setup to find myself better day trades and do that sort of stuff. So really, we are now 3 for 3, and all 3 have not been good, which is really not that good. However, I'm glad that everything's in unison, right? That's a big part of these sector reviews, is just make sure they're all at least doing the same thing. From there, see if one of them is doing the best, and then from there, maybe you put some money in the best. None of this is financial advice, of course, right? Of course. Where's Rocket? Hey, so Rocket, look, it doesn't look monstrous, but this thing went from 630 to 8. That's a pretty nice jump right there, actually. That's a little bit more than 20%, right? Because 20% is $1.20, and yeah, we went more than $2. So there was a decent jump on Rocket. That said, where are we? A hard rejection on the 200, right? And we've seen it. You either break the 200 and fly, or you get rejected from the 200 and drop pretty hard, right? I'm not necessarily saying this is going to be a hard drop, because hey, we have a bunch of moving averages at least stopping the drop, but the 50 is the last one we have, right? We cannot lose the 50 moving average on Rocket. Otherwise, it's coming back down to 637, okay? Everything we just gained, if we can't hold it right here, it's coming back down right here. That's just how it works, right? Real ugly MACD, real ugly RSI, the worst volume, I think, of all of them. Literally, the last 5+ days have been nothing but selling, right? So, not even a speckle of green right there. That's not good. So, yeah, Rocket arguably might be the worst one here. All that said, hey, we are in a horizontal cluster, and you've heard me say it. Anything can happen in a cluster, especially when you have all five, right? I don't like that we lost the tighter four, but I'm still going to say it's in a main one with all five. But yeah, you can definitely say it lost this four. And look, it was bouncing in this four, right? It had a chance right here to recover, and it definitely didn't. So a couple different ways to look at Rocket. But overall, Rocket is the worst one that I'm seeing. Ironically, not the worst weekly, though. It's still actually over the 8. Is it over the 20? I don't think it's over the 20 anymore. But yeah, it looks like this week might be a devastating week if we lose both the 8 and the 20, making next week really worse and maybe bringing us back down here by the end of next week. So be careful with Rocket one more time. It had a better daily than better weekly than I expected, but I'm not a big fan of this. All that said, though, anything can happen in a cluster, right? So I might be eating my words the next time I make this video, but it all happens on this 50 right here. We either bounce on 738, you see it over there in the box, or we drop back down. Rocket, you can, again, I called it the worst one, but like now I don't know if it, oh man. Okay, so I will be honest. I tried to make a move on this stock. I bought it on this day. So we broke all the moving averages. I waited for confirmation. I put a stop buy right here. So I made that little profit. Once I made the profit, I pretty much made my stop loss either here or just under where I bought it. And you can see I clearly got stopped out. So Loan Depot was a failed swing. I either made zero money or I actually did lose money. Hey, maybe I would have made a little bit more if I didn't wait for the confirmation, but that's not the game, right? The goal was this one was going to go up and it would have been beautiful. But yeah, Loan Depot, I for sure tried to trade this because, hey, my goal was break this and let's work our way up to here, right? Clearly it didn't happen. And there was a moment right here where it broke. So I thought it was going to do it and it was going to fly. But yeah, this 179 line was definitely a very good line, right? So I was a little disappointed on Loan Depot. Like I said, I got out somewhere midday right here at a loss or at break even roughly at 170. And then right now, what are we doing? We are about to lose this cluster. This is an ugly MACD. This is an ugly RSI. Same amount of selling that we saw on Rocket. This one is actually the worst. I think the weekly's not going to look too bad. Yeah, because again, there was a little bit of a rise up. But yeah, now the weekly's definitely turning and not turning well. So this is the worst one right now, Loan Depot. And I was especially sad because I wanted to flip that right there, but I just couldn't. It happens, right? Can't be sad. Look, I've talked about a couple of good swings on videos. This is probably the bad swing I talked about. Hey, I didn't lose stupid money. I'm real glad about that. But, you know, I try to make money when I make my swings, not break even or lose a little, right? Lending Club, man, Lending Club, this has been doing really bad, and it all started when it lost the moving averages. I do remember this. So you lose it here, and this is one of those devastating ones, right, where we talk about it, where you have them all together, and then all of a sudden the 8 and the 20 just kind of start going down and down together. So a lot, I'm not even going to talk too much about this one. There's very, very little, and look, much worse volume, right? Only 2 days out of what? 1, 2, almost 3 weeks of trading. Horrible, right? So a lot of bad on Lending Club. Are we at all-time lows just yet? We're not, but we are way too close for comfort. Let me just keep zooming out. Yeah, this is our all-time low range. Let me make a couple new lines. So that'll at least put us at all-time lows. And then I'll put one kind of in between this cluster here. I'll use the top of that guy. Okay, so look, there's a lot of reason to believe that from 870, we might be dropping at least to 6. Honestly, 690 does look next. Maybe I can draw a line right here at around 790. I'll draw that 790 line. Let's go ahead and do that. But right now, I made it a little higher, just whatever, right? At this point, I coming into the 7 seems very realistic for Lending Club, unless this thing gets some sort of meme love, right? But yeah, overall, out of the 6 stocks we look at, none of them were really that good. There were a couple of, hey, maybe you can play them suggestions. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but nothing was really jumping out as sustained uptrends. And again, if you've watched enough of my videos, you know we're looking for some sustained uptrends. So, hey, trade safely out there. Hopefully the leg is better and I can get back to daily videos. So, have a great one.